In these uncertain economic times, what would you think about quitting your job to start a business? Well, if you've thought of that, you might get a little encouragement from our next story. Teresa Bush takes us to Prim Springs, where a former 9-to-5er is having the time of his life, one loaf of bread at a time.
It takes a very, very long time to make bread the way David Tannen makes bread. It starts at 5:30 in the morning when he builds a wood fire inside an old-fashioned brick oven, the kind our forefathers used.
The cooking hearth is 5 feet by 7 feet. And this is built to the same specifications of the ovens in Europe that are thousands of years old. Every culture has some version of a wood-fired oven. That fire burns all day. This morning, I get up and I rake those coals out of the oven. The oven's about 600 degrees at that point. I mop the floor down, and because it's so hot, it's immediately sterile. So now I have a nice clean surface to start cooking.
And while the fire is burning, David is busy soaking and mixing the grains for the 4 varieties of bread he makes. There's a raisin bread, light rye, a sunflower and flax, and a multigrain sesame seed bread. There are no artificial ingredients, no added sugar, eggs, oil, milk, just natural grains and water.
It's all whole grains, and to the whole grains I add seeds or additional grains, like I add sunflower seeds or sesame seeds, or I add grains like buckwheat or barley, which increases the nutritional content. So these are very easily digestible breads that are very nutritious.
The dough has to cool in a refrigerated room for 18 to 22 hours, where it rises just a little bit. And after that, David cuts it into 1-pound pieces.
Okay.
And while each batch of bread is baking, David begins the process all over again. The recipes or formulas he uses come from other bread makers who live all across the country. Still, things are never exactly the same.
This type of bread is very sensitive to temperature, not only in the room, but the temperature outside. So even though a couple of these formulas came from a buddy of mine in Wisconsin, another one came from Vermont, I still had to tweak them somewhat to make them suitable to this environment. And was able to do that through trial and error, and I think I have it down pretty well now. Every spring it's a challenge when the weather changes. Every fall it's a challenge when the weather changes, but I'm getting better and better, and my customers love my product.
Even though each loaf looks pretty much the same, there is an art to bread making, and it comes with time management and knowing when to proceed with each critical step.
Let's check it, make sure it's done. Does that sound like a drum to you? Mm-hmm. Sound hollow? It's hollow, it should be done. I like to get this bread to about 210 degrees on the inside, so we'll see. Yeah, it's not done yet.
Bread baking was not the first thing David thought of when he decided to leave a lucrative sales position to start his own business. It was organic vegetables. He built this commercial kitchen to make salsas and such, and then one day he rediscovered a book he'd bought years ago on how to build a brick oven, and that's when he thought of bread. So David built this beehive oven from materials found here on his farm. The bread he baked here, he shared it with his family and friends, and they absolutely loved it. And it gave him all the confidence he needed to build the big brick oven he uses now.
Well, I've always been the kind of person that if you give me a book and a set of plans, I'll try it. I won't say everybody could do that, but the knowledge is there. So I just, took the book and built it. I literally had no help. I had my neighbors come over and laugh at me a lot.
Did they think you were crazy?
They thought I was crazy, and they told me over and over again that I would never finish it, that I would never. I knew I would. I knew deep down I would, but you know, I'm laughing now.
David readily admits bread baking has taken over his life, in a good way, of course. It allows him to make a living at home, and it allows him to make something that's not only very good to eat, it's also very good for you.
Bread that I make is not your daddy's bread. It may not be your granddaddy's bread, but it certainly was your great-great-great-granddaddy's bread. This was how bread was made originally. Bread was a meal. It's called the staff of life, and the reason is because whole grain breads contain more nutrients by weight than meat. They contain all the B vitamins, they contain vitamin E, a little bit of vitamin C, it's a complete protein. It truly is everything you need to live.
Look back at all the years that you were in the jewelry and the supplement sales. What do you think now?
Oh, this is wonderful. This is great. I'm totally working for myself. I love what I do. People love what I do. So it's fantastic.